I've never actually tried this YouTube live thing. So if you guys give me a moment, I'm gonna actually grab this link and share it with the Wheelchair Warrior podcast Instagram. If you're not following me on that, if you have no idea who I am, my name is Devin. I host a podcast called the Wheelchair Warrior Podcast. Obviously, you could probably guess from that I am in a wheelchair, but my idea behind it is just to really put myself out there, to be honest, because I feel like there is a lack of honesty in the digital world that we live in today. So that is the essence behind my podcast. You're pretty much filled in up to this point. Like I said, I've never gone live before, so I'm going to go ahead and share this link and see what's up. Either way, I can kind of stall as I talk to you guys here really quick. You know what? No, it's fine. We're not going to share that link. We'll leave it be. With that being said, I'll be a little bit more prepared next time. But, I want to get right into it. Obviously, this is a different approach as far as, I'm always doing the audio, and I feel like video is kind of new age, and if you're brave enough to do it, if you're not afraid to look at the camera and, let people into your world a little bit, I say do it. So really, obviously, if you've been listening to the Wheelchair Warrior podcast, you'll know that my consistency has been absolutely terrible. And I'll be the first to say that it's pretty pathetic. I would go like a week without posting, then 2 weeks, and then I look now and it's been like a month since the last episode. And so much has happened in a month. And I feel like that's the hardest part, is like, we think it's no big deal, right? But for those that are listening, for those that are watching, for those that are following your journey, it's a big deal to them, because there are a lot of people that even I follow, when like they don't post on Instagram, I'm just like, I wonder what they're up to. For a lot of people, that is their only source of actually knowing what you're up to, actually following you, and actually continuing to be inspired by you, right? So when you go without posting, it's like you're getting rid of that for them, and they're just left with this mystery, this hole in their heart of just, where the heck are they? I wonder how Devin's doing. I wonder how Bill's doing. I wonder how Sal's doing. Those are the questions that people are asking themselves. And so that's why I think it's so important to be consistent. But really, it's ironic. I had this conversation with somebody, and for those of you who have been following me for a while, you know that I've been on this like entrepreneur journey now for like a couple years, and I feel like I know a heck of a lot, but to this amount of stuff that I know, I haven't been that successful, right? And one of the biggest key takeaways from this conversation was like, Devin, you got to be publishing, man. Like, you have to. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. You have to be publishing. And so I was just like, you know what? He's right. I'm done making excuses. I was feeling absolutely ill. Like, I still don't feel that great, but I'm up on like Dayquil and stuff like that. So I'm doing better now. This is like 3 days later. But I just pulled out my phone and I was like, listen, guys, like, here's the truth. I suck at being consistent, but I want to change that. And very quickly it started to catch on. And I didn't even notice, but my other friend Mark had went live that same day. And he hit me up and he was like, hey, you want to make this interesting? And I was like, sure, let's make it interesting. I think my exact reply was sup. And he was like, let's put a wager on this. Let's see who flakes first. Let me adjust this camera here. Cool. And so I'm not one to like want to flake. You know what I mean? If you talk to my wife or anybody that's close to me that really knows me, they'll know that like when competition's involved, that's a scary Devin to be around, because I don't like to lose. I can swallow my pride if we're playing a game of Monopoly, but if it's like, yo, we're gonna bet some serious money here, or if it comes to like a working sense, that's why when I started my new job, I was coming in and beating everybody in numbers because I don't like to lose. I don't like to be that person that they're just like, oh, Devin, oh, one day you'll get up there. It's like, no, I need to be there yesterday. So we kind of put a wager on this. So this is, I don't know, day 3, I think. No, day 4. This is day 4 of this. And I kind of took it one step further. This wasn't a requirement of the deal, but I have a lot of platforms of social media. And so I started going live on all of those platforms. I forgot one of the platforms one of the day, but no biggie. I still went live that day. And it's been great. I think the thing that I like the most about it, though, is that my wife is super supportive, and hopefully she doesn't get mad at me for sharing this, but I'm going to share it anyway. We've had a struggle with me being consistent in social media, and I had this like weird dilemma in my head because it's like, I want to spend all this time with her. I really do, 100%. Then I also need to be like posting on social media. But then because I was caught up in like everything being perfect, right? Like lights need to be perfect. Like, you look in the background, there's like a computer back there and whatnot. It's like old Devin would be like, no, let's make it look like I'm in a studio. New Devin's like, who cares? Pull up the camera. So that, created a lot of fights. That created a lot of tension. And I feel like there's a lot of like almost, I don't want to say trauma, but I don't know what, behind me posting on social media. So at first when I was like, yeah, I'm going to go live on all these platforms every day, she was like, I'm happy for you, honey. I'm happy for you. But then I really just explained to her, I was like, look, I'm always looking to be a better person. I'm always looking to be a better husband. And every time I've reached these milestones, I feel like I've done my best to improve. So, I'm done being mean to you about things being perfect. If she's doing the dishes in the background, I don't care. Like, do the dishes, whatever the case. The only thing I told her, because I remembered this, was when I went live yesterday. I was like, hey, no hard feelings, but we need to make sure the music's off because Facebook will cut my audio real fast. So I made sure of that. But other than that, it's like, I feel like I take things way too seriously sometimes. And, I think that was probably my problem with being consistent and stuff like that. So, I'm just sitting here thinking about it and I'm just like, that was my biggest issue, really. Another thing is this. I talked about this on like all the other live streams, but I just want to fill you guys in. I very quickly was getting haters. I think haters were the reason I'd stopped doing things a lot. But this time I'm just letting them fuel me, I had this person after I went live because I talked about relaunching a guitar course. I don't know if I talked about Guitar Less Complicated in the beginning of Wheelchair Warrior podcast. There's not that many episodes as it stands, so I'm sure I can go back and look. But when I was still out in San Diego, I had this course that I was going to launch, and this course was going to help people to learn how to play their favorite songs on guitar in 90 days or less. I launched it. The course looked awesome. I really felt like it could have helped people, but so many people were hating, and I let that get to my head fast. And I started to give up and I started to crumble in times where I really needed to be successful. And so, one of my biggest takeaways when this person was coming at me when I started talking about relaunching that course and was like, dude, you're doing it all wrong. You gave away too much. Like, you need me. You suck, kind of thing. I started to go back into the old Devin ways. And then eventually was just like, you know what? I'm good. Haters are going to hate. Talked to my wife about it. That's all I needed. And she was just like, dude, just keep moving forward. It's fine. Like, don't put that negativity in your life. Talk to another friend as well. He said the same thing. He's like, Push that negativity as far away as you can push it. Because I have a tendency to like let it linger in me even when I'm still like good, and I'm like bringing it up to other people. I'm like, so here's what happened. And, my friend kind of put me in my place, and he was just like, dude, like, I understand and I get it. And I'm glad that you're still okay, but forget about it. Just drop it. Let it go. Like, there's plenty of scumbags out there. There's plenty of people that are going to do wrong. There's plenty of people that suck. There's plenty of people that are going to hate on you, but don't let it linger in your head. Push it as far away from you as you can. So that was a lesson for me. Probably going to get some water here. And then I like transitioned. And it's funny because like I always stressed about like what to talk about and the content to have. But I feel like just me going live every day almost created movement and like content, right? Because I had this guy that I was going to build funnels for. And, I say it once and I'll say it again. I won't name drop. What's done is done. Oh, man. Okay. I think I'm good. But anyways, I hope I'm good. It's like one of those coughs that like it's like one of those coughs that you just need to like get out and it's just stuck. Okay, so hopefully I don't pass out on this live stream. That'd be funny though. It'd be interesting content for a live stream and then transitioning into the Wheelchair Warrior podcast. But so for those of you who follow me, obviously I'm doing things like service-based business stuff, like building funnels for people, building websites, running Facebook ads, things like that. And I feel like there was times where I was really desperate and I was willing to work with anybody. Like if you could sign on the dotted line and you could pay me, I'd work for you. No question. And I had this person come up and he was like really amped about me building funnels for him. I showed him some stuff that I did and he loved it. He was like, this is perfect. This is exactly what I need. I was like, awesome, dude. Let's make it work. Really long and drawn out. And that was the first red flag for me. Like it took forever to get back in contact with him. The second red flag was like when we started to agree on things, the terms started changing. It went from like, I need one funnel to I need 5 funnels to I need 3 funnels. And then I was like, okay. Told him I was cutting him some slack. Did, a price cut for him and was trying to hook him up. And it went from like, yeah, let's make it happen to, well, I need to pay you like 7 payments. And what am I getting at with this? Like, I was reading the signs because in situations like this, if you're like me, it's like when people are trying to get in control like that, it's like a sense of insecurity on their part. But, call me crazy and I could be wrong, but usually when things like that are going on, it's usually because they're not who they say they are. So they might tell you like, hey, I have like 52 clients. I'm going to get you like 7 funnel builds in the next week. But when it comes down to it, when it comes down to signing on the dotted line, they start getting worried because they know people are like trying to really figure out who they are and who they're going to work with, right? And so even before I got on this final call with him, I told my wife, I was like, I'm all for making money, but I have a really weird feeling about this guy. And it's funny, being married, you really start to like morph into that person. You really do, 100%. It's so weird. I don't care if you're religious or not. I am going to bring up, a little bit of a biblical standpoint. In the Bible, when you're married, it talks about becoming one. And whether you believe in, that stuff or not, there's so much truth behind it. Let me tell you why. I used to laugh at my uncle because he used to bring this stuff up. But like, don't know if there's like something on my tooth or if that's the light shining on it. I don't know. Either way, we're gonna roll with it. He used to do funny things like, tell me you can read each other's minds when you're married. And I was like, no, there's no way. And he was like, I want grapes right now. Watch. And he pulls it out and he starts eating grapes. And then like 2 seconds later, my aunt's screaming from across the house, like, honey, can you grab me some grapes? And weird things like that would happen. What am I getting at? You start to become that other person in ways that you weren't before. My wife was very, very good at intuition. I was terrible with it. I was always getting burned because I was terrible. And I'm starting to get really good with intuition. And that's what I told her at that point. We were laying down about to go to bed and kind of just looked at her and I was just like, look, I know it'd be nice to get that money, but there's just something weird going on here. She was like, well, you gotta follow your heart. You gotta do what feels right to you. And so on this final call I had with this person, it turned into like this really weird thing where he was like telling me to do weird things. And I was just like, no, that's not how it's going to work, man. Like if I'm building a funnel for you, here's how it's going to go. Here's what we're going to do. And it turned into like this issue where like the simplest things that I needed from him, he couldn't deliver, like sending me something in my email. And so I quickly identified that this was a person I didn't want to work for. And I blocked him on everything. And he tried to call me on another number and I blocked him on that number. Why am I telling you this? For one, obviously, the Wheelchair Warrior podcast is about being honest. I've set that guideline since we've made that shift. But two, it's like, I could have easily closed that deal and got that money, but it would have been a pain and a half. And that's just from my experience. So for those of you that are, excuse me, for those of you that are looking to, put yourself out there and have this, service-based business and all this stuff, just know that not everybody is worth working for. You really have to find your client that makes sense to you, those people that make sense to you. And I think it's a no-brainer. The people that I've worked for, I haven't had very many projects, but the people that I worked for that were like good people to work for, they stayed out of my way. Truthfully, I think I only had like one person that was that way, unfortunately. So maybe that's why I'm starting to read the signs. But this person, he asked me, how much will you charge me to build a website? I said, listen, this is kind of what I want to charge. It's kind of what I'm thinking. Wasn't this big on negotiation. I just had a number in my head and I was just like, it's going to take me X amount of days. Like this feels like a good number because, I could live off of that and I need to eat. So I gave him that number. He told me, he was like, all right, cool. I can give you that money. That works. He wrote me a check for it. And I told him I'll be done with it in this many days. And he was like, all right, cool. Signed on the dotted line. Send me the check. I deposited it in my account. I created the site, delivered it to him, and that was that. The most beautiful client you'll ever have is one like that trusts you so much as the service provider that they are just to that point where they're like, listen, this is what I want, and I can't do it by myself. I need you. You are the professional, okay? I don't care what you need from me. You tell me what you need from me. I will give that to you, and I will leave you alone. You tell me how long it's going to take, and that's fine, all right? However long it's going to take, you tell me, and I'll expect it by the end of that. However much I need to pay you, you tell me, and I'll pay you. And that's that. Those are the people we need to be looking for. And I think even aside from like a business sense, people in like day to day need to be looking for people like that too, like that really flow with us well, that there's not much tension, right? Now, believe I am gonna sign off, friends. I don't want to make this like too drawn out, but I wanted to try out the YouTube live thing. I don't think anybody's on this live stream right now, and that's okay, at least currently. But do me a favor, if you are watching this, I want you to just comment below. Comment below #replay if you're watching this. Kind of just trying to take a tally of like who sees this, right? This is my first YouTube live, so it's pretty intense. But yeah, I talked a lot about accountability. I talked a lot about, what I am doing, but I can't remember not if I talked about what really happened. So I had a friend that was telling me we needed to turn this into a bet. Well, when he went live, we're trying to see who would flake first, right? I remember I talked about that. He told me, he was like, dude, like, or no, he said in the live, he was like, what if we extend this to people out there that are looking to be accountable in whatever you're doing? And so we're thinking about extending this accountability contest, if you will, of staying consistent to other people. So if you want in on this wager, because there is money on the line, if you want in on this wager, let me know. You can comment below. I'm in. If you're hearing this through the Wheelchair Warrior podcast on any of my platforms, you could still comment below. I'm in. We're gonna get everything fine-tuned and focused and out there, because we're not really sure like how we're gonna position it, what we're gonna do just yet. But it was just kind of this thing that was like, what if we could just build this mass movement off of people just keeping each other accountable? Because that's truly what life is about, keeping each other accountable. So if you want in on this contest, if you want a way to make free money just for being consistent in what you were doing, let me know in the comments below. Let me know on Facebook if you are just streaming Wheelchair Warrior. Wherever you're at right now, just let me know if you're in on this competition. But I will see you guys next time.